because it's crazy in those gyms, man.
And when violence breaks out, inmates will be ready.
Your picture, come back in the tank.
We could be standing here right now and all hell could break loose.
You want to know what's
Dozens of gangs vie for power at Ironwood.
Welcome back to the W number once again. Back from you to torture your little minds. Nah, I'm just playing. I haven't totally lost it yet. Remember Edward Bunker wrote the book The Animal Factory and No Be So Fierce and Education of a Felon, Little Boy Blue and all them. Those are all based around the California prison system and growing up in the Department of Youth Services out there. And I think maybe you guys go check those books out. Welcome to the Animal Factory's mother.
Prison is a tinderbox, a place where killers, robbers, and rapists fight for space.
I hate it when they do that.
Violence quickly turns into full-scale riots.
I live this nightmare every day.
Some inmates are trying to escape the war zone. They're taking college classes. But in this prison, studying can't keep them safe.
See, I have to live first before I can graduate.
Trouble is all around you at all times.
It's a powder keg. Think about it. It is a powder keg.
Stay in school because it's hard on the yard around here.
Prison.
He said it's hard on the yard, baby. You already know this looks wild, man. Shout out to Lockdown for making this video, and I'll put the link to it in the description.
Ironwood State Prison in Blythe, California.
Ironwood State Prison in Blythe, California.
Located in the Southern California desert, Ironwood's isolated, hot, and dangerously overcrowded. More prisoners have just arrived. Dozens of them. With more inmates than cells, California packs this prison until bursting.
2 at a time, step out from the kitchen. Once you do.
In Massachusetts, I feel like they do a lot better job of respecting people's privacy when it comes to being naked in front of all these different people. Now, I've been naked in front of other convicts before, but for the most part, we're off in our own little corner when we're getting strip searched. You know what I mean? If you're in like a little strip tank or something.
Your picture, come back in the tank.
Built to confine 2,200 inmates, Ironwood now houses 4,700.
Criminal gang life.
That means the 4 housing units hold double capacity. And prisoners swarm the yards during rec. Overcrowding means one thing: violence. It's 11 a.m. and Lieutenant Sue Smith patrols more than 400 inmates out on the recreational yard.
Take that bandana off your head.
Their crimes range from aggravated assault to multiple murders. And officers say being packed together only makes them more hostile. Prisoners self-segregate into groups they identify as whites, blacks, Southern Mexicans, and others.
In Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center, we had the white section where we had our own basketball court, 2 tables off to the left, a pull-up bar, and then, anybody walked around the tracks, right? There was an inner track that was like any high school, little blue gravel track. And then there was the outside track that was meant for like cars to do patrol on the perimeter, where it had like a little line on the outside where you could not walk past that line allegedly, or else you could be shot.
The racial groups further divide into gangs with a history of warring. But in this overcrowded prison, sworn enemies have no choice but to come face to face.
That's another thing too, is that you'll always see out in the yard, you see every little clique grouped up in all their little areas. So if you know what you're looking for and pay attention, you can see every little gang out in the yard grouped up and clicked up.
Many gangs deal drugs, which rule the prison's underground economy. Disputes are a weekly occurrence.
I know what the potential is out here. I know what the potential of these guys are. They work out all day long. They're built, they're strong, and they'll fight. They'll fight till the end.
And you know what? They give us really no option other than to do that. You know what I mean? They let the fights go on for very long time, so that's their fault, right? So we have to fight till the end. They encourage that type of violence. But on the other side, you know, we try to do what we can to avoid that type of thing.
Last summer, inmates rioted on and off for weeks.
Center control, be advised, I've got about 6-on-6 blacks. They need a code, one response.
I've seen inmates stabbed in the neck, throats sliced, multiple stabbings, inmates beat up just with fists. I've seen death.
These inmates must always be prepared for battle. And Lieutenant Smith stands guard to stop the next riot before it starts.
I have information that we are going to have problems on this yard, and it's going to be very soon. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or the next day, it's going to happen within the next couple of days. That guy right there, I want to know who that guy is right there. He just pointed at me. Yeah, anything can happen at any moment. We could be standing here right now, and all hell could break loose.
You want to know what's crazy? Is two things, right? First, if you want to know about the horrors that happen within the prison walls, talk to an old veteran prison nurse. Number two, when it comes to people snitching on the yard and dropping notes on things that might happen or events that might go down, is people who have something to lose or something to gain by either telling or having the event happen.
Line it up right over here, all you guys. Riots are always in the back of my mind when I walk around on the yard. You got anything in your pockets that's going to stick me? They have to be. It's survival.
Even they know it's survival. Like, even she admitted, like, they have to be on like that. It's survival.
But one place at Ironwood teems with even more danger than the yard.
You get into a beef in the yard, you better be prepared to go the distance, because if you do not have wind, you can get killed out there very easy. They don't come. They'll wait and they'll pile up in the little sally port there at the beginning of the yard and wait for their boys to show up, and you'll be fighting, and it'll be a little while before they even realize you're fighting out in that yard. That yard, you know, you got the basketball courts, you got people all over the place, and that one little fight in a big populated yard is hard to notice for any cop that's sitting up in the tower or whatever at first. So you could be fighting for a little while before they even notice, and you got everybody around. You never know how many people are going to jump in, whatever, you know what I mean? So you better know how to fight and have wind.
The gyms. One on each of the 4 yards. They house 120 inmates packed together, with only 3 officers keeping the peace.
This prison is so overcrowded that all of the facilities, all 4 yards, the gym has been converted into a housing unit for inmates. Can you put some pants on? You're supposed to be in pants.
You all know those butch guards that walk around and act all crazy when you're in your own house with a shirt off. Like, put a shirt on, please. It's like, nah, how about you don't work here?
At any given moment, anything could happen. Watch your back, gentlemen. You can never let your guard down, especially in the gym, because the inmates are so close to you all the time. You didn't hear the popo coming?
This 6,000 square foot open space houses criminals from opposing races and gangs, crammed together with no cells to separate them.
Yo, I'm going to do a video on my own experience in a gym just like this, and it's my last bit experience. I might just do a live on it, but pay attention to that, bro, because it's crazy in those gyms, man.
And when violence breaks out, inmates will be ready. They arm themselves with crude and deadly weapons. Officer Michael Smith and the Investigative Services Unit, or ISU, have recovered hundreds of them.
Here we have several weapons.
That was a bone crusher right there. That thing is a jagged edge.
How ingenious these guys are when it comes to creating weapons within a facility. This is kind of an interesting weapon. We call it the carrot weapon.
What do
And
you
it's
use?
a
Fucking
toothbrush
coconut
filed down
leaves
to
for
a
the
point.
fucking
It was
handle?
inserted into the ground. As you can see, it was wrapped with a lot of shrubbery. It just looked like a weed on the yard. Inmates know where it's at, or the inmates who made it. So it looks like that. If a riot kicks off or something spontaneous happens, they need to retrieve a weapon quickly. They can go to that area, find this weed, pull it up, and they have an instant weapon.
Ooh, yo, that's mad smart, bro. Because out in our yard, we would just leave it bare with no handle and jam it into a post where, you know, a distinctive post in the yard would be, you know, the third post on the yard to the left, whatever. You know what I mean? Something like that. But not necessarily. I'm not saying don't go out there searching the yard or anything. I'm just saying.
Some of the more dangerous ones, and we refer to them as bone crushers, big weapons like this, large piece of metal stock. Bone crushers typically create a puncture type wound. We also have a tomahawk type weapon that would cause a large slicing wound or an incised wound. Very painful, causes a lot of bleeding, made of razor blades.
Bone crushers.
Weapons like these aren't just used on enemies. Racial groups and gangs will stab members who don't follow rules.
Word.
New inmates quickly learn race determines who they wreck with, walk with, and who they obey.
Crazy, because out in that yard, it's much different than out here. You know, you definitely will be with your own race, 100%, especially when you're out on the yard, in the gym, in the block, whatever. Doesn't matter. You're going to be with your own people, right? You're always going to be with your own race. Everywhere, all day, every day. You don't sell up with other races. You only sell up with the other white dudes, or if you're black, with black, Spanish.
22-year-old Roger Cerna has been at Ironwood for 3 months. He hangs with the whites. First arrested at age 18 for a minor drug charge, Cerna took a violent turn when he assaulted an acquaintance.
I'm in prison for attempted murder. Essentially, someone tried to snitch on me, and I decided to take it into my own hands to relieve this person of being able to snitch again.
He relieved him of his want in disgusting need to snitch.
Instant will be his last.
It's a vicious cycle. There's nothing good about this cycle. Released to 3 places: jails, institutions, and death. If I don't break this cycle, I could end up back in prison shortly after I parole. I could be 44 years old.
That's using your head.
Specialist Mike Smith gets word. There's a fight on Ironwood State Prison's A yard.
Woo! Freeze all movement, secure all airways, clear all airwaves and comms. We have an emergency.
To get on the ground. Staff cuff and cage the attackers for questioning. It's now up to Smith to find out what happened before the violence spreads.
We live on the streets.
I live in Ironwood.
Ironwood?
Yeah.
Hispanic gangs refuse to discuss gang matters with outsiders.
How long you had to campo?
Usually they'll lock the whole block down that has the convicts that were in the fight involved, that were actually involved in the fight. Those blocks will get locked down unless it was in a common area.
Oh, wow. Where'd you get in prison?
I think I got it in the streets.
So Smith looks for information elsewhere, on their skin.
Walk right out there. It's like a picture tells 1,000 words.
Look straight at the camera, please.
Tattoos, especially gang tattoos, are going to tell you where he's from, who he hangs out with, the cliques within the gangs, what his moniker may be, who may have been killed that are his friends. It's going to give you a broad spectrum of gang intel. You got this on the streets, huh?
Yeah.
You have any idea what it means?
No.
They use every opportunity to collect intelligence, man. So just to let you know, when you're getting all these gang tattoos and shit, well, think about it like this, right? Now you're showing the cops that you're committed for life too. So be careful in person.
Culture that are adapted by Southern Hispanic gang members and used for their own terms.
According to Smith, this inmate's tattoos clearly identify him as a member of a Mexican street gang, something he'd never admit to an officer.
How long you been a gangster? It's just a matter of practice. You got to read the tattoos. You got to look at all the fine, intricate detail.
Identifying the gangsters means Smith can keep a close eye on them. But that may not be enough to stop a riot.
Sam 10 Central.
Dozens of gangs vie for power at Ironwood.
When they're out there in the yard like that, if they're doing the same thing they do out here, they'll sit up in the tower and they look out with their binoculars, and they have these machines where they can point and they can listen to everything you say. It's like a little satellite looking thing, but they've had those since the 60s out here. So imagine what they have now for technology to listen to everything you say. So they'll sit up there, and this is a fact, they really do. They sit up there and they watch, and it's the ips that they'll pile up there and they'll listen, especially if they think something's going down, or if they have intelligence that there's a drug package coming in and they want to hear what's going on. They'll sit up there and listen.
Like the skinheads, the Bloods, and the Crips. Inmates must obey the rules of their race and their gang, or they'll be beaten. Rule number 1. If one member is threatened, the whole group fights back. This old-timer knows the rules firsthand.
I came in cribbing, I'm a crib. If you my homie, you my friend. Coming above with me?
Ooh.
Bam! I'm not gonna let you fight by yourself. What you talking about? You get into it with anybody, we all gonna get into it. This is a violent environment.
Inmate Donovan Green says he joined the
And that's how gangs get power. You know what I mean? They get dudes that all come in like this, big dudes that can hold it down and refuse to allow the other gangs to go alone, and he'll push his agenda. You know what I mean? And see how far he can push it. And that's the dangers of prison.
Or, you giving me what I want or you making it home. So that's where the power comes in.
Until he's stopped by somebody who doesn't like what he's doing.
That you were untouchable at this particular time and moment.
You hear that?
The power comes in. It was a thrill. You just felt real powerful that you were untouchable at this particular time and moment.
He's a gladiator.
But now, Green gets power another way. Through education. He's enrolled in the college program at Ironwood.
I watch a lot of them come in, and Green's one of them. That was a little ragged on the edges, let's say. He was tied up with some riffraff or, guys that weren't all that, they were in mischief or whatever. And then all of a sudden he gets his college book and he takes a course and he does pretty well. Now he wants to go full time, and bingo, it's eye-opening.
Gramps.
Green's motivation? To show his daughter Eva that he can turn his life around.
I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have seen all of these years from being a baby to a young woman.
After years of studying, Green could reach a major milestone in just 2 weeks. Graduation.
Word.
He hopes to receive a certificate in business studies and get to see his daughter Eva for the first time in over a decade.
Hell yeah.
But something could stand in Green's way. He's still a Crip, and Convict code requires him to fight if called.
Anything is subject to happen in prison at any given time. And if it happens, there's still things I'm supposed to do as a convict. So for me, I know this.
That's the sad part about prison is that you can't go to class and shake off the streets or the prison life, especially the convict life, when you're in that joint in the maximum security prisons where the politics are so heavy. And a lot of these gangs don't care. Like, they don't play. So
he has a violent streak that could put everything in jeopardy. Just a few years ago, at another prison, Green attacked his cellmate for verbally threatening his life.
And I walked back, opened the cell. He was in the cell like I knew he'd be. And I immediately attacked him. I attacked him, I beat him, I stomped him. The cell looked like a slaughterhouse. Puddles of blood on the floor, the walls. I tried to clean up the blood. They came, told me to back up, cuff up, took me out. He went to the hospital straight, I went to the home.
I mean, if he really did get his life threatened, he did what he thought he had to.
He's gonna see me.
Green wants to stay out of trouble now. But in this prison, trouble might find him.
Trouble can come from anywhere. It can come from a person bumping into you. It can come from a person saying something negative to you. And it sparks like a wildfire. You know what I mean? It just take a spark and it can spread immediately.
Because this isn't college. It's prison.
Word, bro. Well said. It's because this isn't college. This is prison. Dirt.
And life here comes with no guarantees. Not school, not safety, and definitely not peace.
You know what? Staying in good shape like that, though, staying in good shape just like that, working out all the time like a warrior, it helps.
At Ironwood State Prison's Education Center, inmate Roger Cerna hunts down the results of his placement test.
Excuse me, Mr. White. Looking for the placement test results?
There's good news and bad news. The good news is that for reading comprehension, you did very well on that. So that puts you in English 96, which is writing improvement.
Okay.
Okay. Then on arithmetic, you bombed. So what we're going to do is put you in math 81, which is fundamental arithmetic, but it's actually basic algebra. Bad news is if you don't do well, you have to go home and face your cellie. Me.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank me. Now,
You know, that's the crazy thing. Like, this dude could have been a really good teacher, somebody that could have helped people in real life. So.
Hey, baby, cuz roll.
Turn up. Holly's Bucks. Sociology 101.
Cerna starts his summer class tomorrow.
I like how they put a lot of thought and effort into like really making this school thing like actually it seems real. It seems like they're actually teaching you legitimate information the way he was talking.
Fail, and he's out.
Cerna can end up as either
like we certainly didn't have school textbooks. We didn't have any of that. We didn't have textbooks.
Big turning point in his life right now.
But as a young inmate, Cerna might face opposition from older members of his white race, and it could get in the way of success.
It's not a written rule, but a lot of people are not all gung-ho about this educating. Did he have to ask one person for permission? No. But believe me, that when a guy comes up and says, hey, I want to go to college, there are going to be people that question why.
I'm not really sure about that, man. If it was out here and my people and one of my boys said, I want to go to college, as I am doing myself right now, and I told my friends, like, I'm good. Like, and none of us are out here committing crimes at all. Like, we just have bonds through what we've experienced together in prison. And, you know, we'll forever be brothers and friends. As far as prison mentality, prison gang, I'm glad I left all that behind. But people are really happy for me. And I would expect them to be the same out there. And shame on anybody who shames their brothers for trying to better their life like that.
Why are you doing that? And that question in prison, when you're questioned, that puts you on the edge.
And at Ironwood, everyone's on edge. As temperatures rise, so do tempers.
Woo! You know, in the summertime, that's when everything turns up.
Over a dozen members of the Crips and Bloods gangs attack one another on B Yard.
Word.
Within minutes, 145 inmates wage war.
Holy shit, 145 convicts out there fighting.
Rounds of 40mm rubber bullets, 3 canisters of OC pepper spray, and 8 OC blast grenades to gain control.
Today is June 1st, 2007. We got a riot inside B2. We're going to be doing the schematic. Inmate Martinez, 203.
In case you're wondering, the guy with the camera, that is standard procedure for any prison use of force or violence. They bring the camera out to document exactly what they're doing to avoid lawsuits.
Inmate Martin out of cell 103.
And also for legal purposes.
There we go.
Inmate Gaetan out of cell 204. We have
Well, also disciplinary process, because they do go through the disciplinary process too. Dirt.
Mr. Pistachio out of cell 140.
You know who they are.
Ooh, which one is this guy? Valencia? 230?
You scratch this, yeah.
Inmate Valencia out of cell 230.
These dudes got all busted up. These dudes got all busted up.
Thing within reach. Chairs, brooms, a cane, and even 2 homemade knives.
Damn.
Staff moved the 28 most violent rioters from their cell blocks into an isolation unit called administrative segregation.
So ADSEG is usually a place where you're going to have a cellmate or at least small privileges too, where you can order a little bit amount of canteen and things like that, but you're not fully in the hole yet. Like you haven't seen the disciplinary board and you haven't got sentenced on your whole sentence.
Zach.
Officers strip search the inmates. Prisoners squat and cough to show that they haven't hidden a weapon inside them. Squatting and coughing with a knife in the anal cavity could cause serious injury.
I'm just saying that doesn't work. That's an outdated practice. It doesn't work, and I hate it when they do that.
Officers take special care to keep warring races and gangs apart.
But not to degrading people, though, do they?
In a tank together until it's either one of them, man. We represent the same man. All right, ain't no problem. All right.
The prison places all of Facility B on lockdown.
I hate the lockdown.
Inmates stay inside their cells 24 hours a day, released only for a shower every 72 hours. They can't even come out for meals.
Yo, it's crazy. Whenever you see a lockdown happen, you got the people throwing the lines over the top of the railings. Then you got people scooping the lines in, yelling all over the tier. There's trash all over the tier. You know, lines. Dude, it's crazy, man. Especially when it happens for 7, 8, 14, 20 days, 30 days at a time. It becomes to be, there's a question of like, why? What are they intending to achieve by keeping people locked down for that long?
It's 12:30 p.m., lunchtime. Lieutenant Smith passes food to inmates through their cell doors.
See, on our tiers, they don't even open the door. They just open a food slot and they give you your tray right through the food slot. And when they do it, they'll come and they'll do it in rows. And you'll see everybody's arms hanging out the food slot, passing their, their neighbors, whatever they're going to pass them during food time. Maybe it's homebrew or some deuce or whatever it is, man, anything to keep them happy while they're locked in their cells, while their friends are locked in their cells, because we're all brothers behind the wall.
With 2 men crammed in each cell, tempers flare.
That's the word.
You want to exercise? You want to exercise in your cell.
Oh, hell no. This dude's working out right in his bed, bro. Sweating right in his bed.
If you're going to wash your ass, you're going to wash your ass in your cell. When you get hungry, you better have something to eat in your cell because the trays that they're going to bring you are inadequate.
Those trays look healthy.
That's basically what lockdown means.
Lockdown should make Ironwood safer. But the longer it lasts, the more angry the inmates become.
You know what? If they know that, fix it.
Old criminal gang life.
It just antagonizes everybody who wasn't involved. Everybody who was is already in the hole. Everybody who's left behind didn't do nothing, man. That's why, bro. And then everybody's stuck in their little cells with their cellies. And, you're already sick of seeing them every single day, all day. And, the lockdown hours are already extreme. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, bro, an administration never really thinks about you when it comes time to do that. But I appreciate everybody who showed up for this first half of the California video. The rest of the video, it's even more lit. I'm gonna do the second half tomorrow. You already know. I appreciate everybody who showed up and left a comment in the comment section. California is probably one of the wildest prison systems I have seen, especially with this. This is just one out of many prisons, and there's gonna be many more to come. I got a little short one that I'm gonna be dropping this week as well. So I'm gonna be knocking down these react videos, bro. You guys are already locked in with the W Number podcast. That's changing lives, changing my life. You know what, man? Everybody's good. I hope everybody had a great time. Appreciate everybody for showing up. W Number out.